Hello again. The accepted narrative among liberals and left-wing people in this country is that until a few years ago there was a huge amount of racism in Britain which prevented black people and Indians from getting on in life. This is by and large completely untrue. A legend has been carefully constructed which suggests that before people like Bernie Grant and Diane Abbott were elected as MPs in 1987, the House of Commons had always been completely white. This is, of course, nonsense. It is also said that there had been systemic racism which prevented black people becoming doctors or lawyers or getting to top universities and so on. This too is quite false. Consider the case of Alan Glacier Minns, a black guy from the Bahamas. He came to England in the 1870s and studied medicine at Guy's Hospital. By the 1880s, he was a member of the Royal College of Surgeons and had a successful practice. He moved to the Norfolk town of Thetford at the end of the 19th century, and in 1903 was elected to the town council there. The following year, he was elected mayor. The strange thing is that nobody at all, either in London or Thetford, seemed to care about the colour of his skin. In newspaper reports, no mention is made of the fact that he was black, merely that he was a good doctor and a popular mayor. In the late 1800s, there were quite a few black people and Indians studying to be doctors and barristers in London, and again, there's no record of this being seen as unusual or that it caused any prejudice. Most of these students returned to their own countries when they qualified. Gandhi, of course, qualified as a barrister in London in the 1880s. There was never any difficulty for black people and Indians being elected to Parliament either. The thumbnail to this video shows an Indian called David Octoloni di Sombra, an Indian who was elected as MP for the Suffolk town of Sudbury in 1841. It's clear from the picture that he was not at all English looking, and yet this did not prevent his being voted in, and in fact nobody even mentioned the fact that he was Indian. In 1892, Dadabhai Rooji, another Indian, was elected MP for the Finsbury Central constituency in London. Once again, newspaper reports make little mention of the fact that he was not white, and it honestly seems as though nobody even cared about the colour of his skin. What they cared about was his policies and whether he was a good MP. What about the important universities like Oxford? Surely there were not any black students there at that time. In 1873, the first black student that we know of was at Oxford. His name was Christian Frederick Cole, and after graduating at Oxford, he studied law in London and became a barrister. It is worth considering these facts because the idea that systemic racism and structural inequalities have prevented black people from getting on in the past is used today as a stick with which to beat white people. The theory is that because they've not had the opportunity to get to Oxford, study medicine or become MPs, we must now give them a leg up and ensure that they start to get their fair share of these things. In fact, it's always been possible for black people and Indians to get on in Britain, much easier than in the United States, for example. The whole idea of giving extra consideration to and providing special assistance to black people to make up for past injustice is founded upon a false premise that black people have been denied opportunities for advancement in the past. There is good reason to suppose that this apparent disadvantage has been greatly exaggerated. As usual, I give links in the description to this video for those who wish to find out more about the people whom I've discussed in the video.